Hello, I'm Charly and today I'm going to be doing a wrap-up. So I've decided to change my monthly wrap-up videos to just doing wrap-ups every time I read 5 books because I was getting really stressed out about how much I was reading every month. It would get towards the end of the month and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've only read 2 books, I'm gonna lose subscribers when I make my wrap-up. And I used to really enjoy making wrap-ups and now it's just kind of become this sort of stressful thing and it's kind of taking away from my enjoyment of reading. So I've decided to start doing this, and since I decided to do that, I've sort of been enjoying my reading a lot more, and I've actually been reading a bit more, I think. So that's good. And also, yes, I haven't been making videos lately. Uni is insane, but I have holidays soon, exams are coming up, but it'll be holidays soon and then I'll be able to make more videos. Yes, so let's just get started with well, this time I have 6 books because I want it to be every, books 6 to 10 and then books 11 to 15. You know, in groups of 5 that are, satisfying numbers like that. You know what I mean? So these are books 5 to 10 that I've read this year. And yes, so I have actually read more books than this. There's 2 other books that I don't include in this because I don't want to have too many books in this video. So yes, I'm just going to get started now. So the first book that I have to talk about I read back in February, and that is Illuminated by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I actually have a book talk up of this already, and I was kind of confused as to how, I had a book talk, but I was like, but I haven't even had this in a wrap up yet, I don't think. So if you want to hear more about my thoughts of this, go check out my book talk. But I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and yes, I loved it, and I'm just so excited. I want, what's it called, Gemini? I really want Gemini in my life right now. The next book I read in March, and that is You by Caroline Kepnes, and I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I know a lot of people love this, and it was actually in my top 5 books that I'm most excited to read video, and I was just really excited to read it, and I don't know, it just didn't work for me. I don't really have any major reasons why I didn't like it, didn't have any major issues with it. I think it's very clever and well written. I don't know, I think I need likable characters, and there was just, I didn't like any of the characters. I thought it would be kind of like Breaking Bad, where Walter is a terrible person, he's a drug dealer and he makes meth, but you love him, he's great and you're rooting for him. In this, I didn't like Joe. I wasn't rooting for him. That would be weird. But I feel like there could have been a character that I was rooting for. I wasn't rooting for anyone, I just didn't really care. But it was really well written, and if this book sounds interesting to you, then I would recommend it. I should probably tell you what it's about so that you can decide whether it sounds interesting to you or not. This book is basically just about a guy called Joe. He works in a bookstore. This girl, Beck, walks into his bookstore one day and he sees her and he's just instantly infatuated with her, and so he stalks her basically, finds her address, goes and stalks out in front of her house and then manages to meet up with her and stuff like that, and that's basically all I can tell you. It's just really creepy and it's told in second person, which is why a lot of people love it so much, and that's what I thought I would love it because I really love unique writing devices like that, but it just didn't really work for me. And the second person, it didn't really creep into my brain as much as I would have liked, because it's you walk over to the counter, you pour yourself a glass of water, stuff like that, and I really thought it would be more creepy than it was, but it just wasn't for me. But a lot of people do love it, so don't just take my word for it. If it sounds interesting, you might love it. I also read The Infinite Sea by Rick Yancey in March, and this was also sort of disappointing. I only gave this one a 3 stars, and I've been a lot more critical with my reading lately, so don't just think that I've been reading terrible books because I usually rate higher. I've just been being a bit more critical. So this was just kind of what everyone kind of says about this. This is the second book to The Fifth Wave, if you didn't know that. And I don't know, I did like it. I really want to read the 3rd book. I'm still really excited for the 3rd book, but this just sort of was unnecessary. It could have it needed to be longer, and then either be longer and take some of the 3rd book and put it in here, or it needed to not exist and the first book be longer or something. It was just, I don't even know what happened in this. I can't even remember, to be honest, but I remember just being really confused about the points of view as well, because I read this as an audiobook, by the way. I've been reading a lot of audiobooks lately because I have to travel a lot to get to uni. I have to like drive to the station, and then sometimes when I can't really do work on the train, I'll listen to an audiobook on the train, or I'll read a physical book depending on how much people are talking on the train, you know. But like, I think this is told in multiple perspectives, like, and it took me a while to get that because it doesn't have names at the start of the chapters. You sort of have to figure it out. It doesn't tell you whose perspective it is. And the first chapter took me so long to figure out whose perspective it was. And then the same chapter was sort of retold in a different perspective, and I was like, why? Like, that's just unnecessary. And then I was just really confused. Like, this book kind of just really confused me, and it didn't need to be as confusing as it was, I feel like. And like, when I was listening to the audiobook, I tend to be able to really focus on audiobooks. But this, I kept on like thinking about other things while I was listening to it, so that's why I sort of don't really remember what happened. But I am still really excited to read The Last Star, I think it's called. The next book I have to talk about is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas, and I read this in April. This is the second book in the Throne of Glass series, and I gave this a 4.75 out of 5 stars. Okay, so I gave Throne of Glass a 5 out of 5 stars, and this is the thing with my little critical reading thing. I think if I read Throne of Glass now, I'd probably give it like more of a 4.25 or 4.5 stars. But initially when I read it, I just didn't really pick up on anything that was wrong with it. But now thinking back, there probably are some things that would have bothered me if I read it now. But I really, really love this book. It's definitely stronger than Throne of Glass. I just took the 0.25 off because of just the way romance is handled in these books kind of annoys me. Like, it's like, it's just kind of shallow, I feel like, the way that romance is handled, and it's like, she gets over people, like, Selena gets over people way too quickly, and it's like, I don't really understand. But other than that, I really, really loved it, and I'm actually currently reading Heir of Fire, so yes. The other book I read in April, I don't have to show you because I read it on audiobook and I don't own a physical copy yet, but I will be getting it because I loved it, and that is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. Oh gosh, this book was great. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So, I'm not going to tell you the tone of this book because that spoiled me. Like, I guessed the ending completely. So, I'm just going to tell you the premise without telling you anything else. So basically, this book follows a man called Will, and he's in an accident that results in him being paralyzed completely. So, he can't move, he can move like his face and he can talk and stuff, but he can't move anything else. And a girl called Lou who has just lost her job, and so she starts working as Will's sort of personal assistant, but not really. It's more like Will's mum wants someone to like bring some joy into Will's life, sort of. So she wants a friend for Will, basically. So that's Lou's job, and that's basically all I'm going to tell you. I just really, really loved this book. The writing was great. The characters, I loved the characters. It's a character-driven book completely, and I just loved the characters, and I don't want to say too much else because I don't want to spoil you, but everyone should read this book. It's great. And the last book I have to talk to you about is another audiobook that I finished in May just recently, and that is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson, and I gave this a 4.25 out of 5 stars. Oh, the hype kills it. I don't know why I didn't love it as much. I really wanted to love it, but I just didn't love it as much as I thought I would. I don't know what it is. It's kind of, the whole plot was kind of weird, and like, it was just the plot was so abstract and not something that would really be happening realistically. But the writing was beautiful. I loved the writing and I loved the characters. But it was just something about the plot I didn't quite connect with, that I couldn't quite like focus on, and also the side characters. I wasn't as attached to the side characters as I feel like I should have been, like the love interests and stuff like that, but the like ideas explored in this book I think are really important. If you have not yet read this book, I definitely recommend it. It explores a lot of like really important topics, and the writing is beautiful, and it's just a beautiful book overall, and it like has a really, really satisfying ending. I really loved the ending, and yes. I'm not going to tell you too much about what this one's about. It's basically just follows two twins that were once really close and now they've sort of grown apart, and it's told in two perspectives, so the male twin and the female twin, and one of them is told like in the past and one of them's told like currently when they're older, so you kind of get the story of when they were really close from one of the twins' perspectives, and you get the story of when they were sort of distant from another twin's perspective. And I think that was done really well because it kind of like shows you that they're twins and you just need one of their perspectives like from both sides to get the whole story, and I think that was really interesting. So that is all for this wrap up. Let me know if you enjoy this sort of wrap up thing, or do you prefer my monthly wrap up things. I don't think I'm going to be doing TBRs anymore because I sort of just read whatever I want, like it changes all the time. So let me know down in the comments what you think, and also let me know if you've read any of these books and what you think of them. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!